Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Decoding the Face, Secrets for Reading Emotions and Personality at a Glance. I'm your host for today, Dr. David Snyder, and today we'll be exploring one of my favorite topics, the art and science of face reading, both ancient and modern. We'll be discussing ways that we can begin to understand personality traits based on facial cues, how to use these things to gain the upper hand in communication, persuasion, and relationships, how to instantly improve your interactions in business, relationships, and social situations, even for those of you with a more earthy nature, measure sexual and romantic compatibility, and much, much more. That being said, hold on a second. There I am. Poof. Hello. How's everybody doing? Let me get out of Brady Bunch mode here. There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm gonna start off with my basic disclaimers, which for some mysterious reason I think it's kind of ticking off YouTube a little bit, because I begin every webinar and every one of my live streams with a basic disclaimer. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offend you, this is probably not the best use of your time. Now, for some mysterious reason, the gods of YouTube have deemed that a video I've been running and promoting, i.e. sending traffic to, for 6 months, has suddenly become shocking. I have no idea why. So just to tempt fate, just to provoke the gods, here I am starting it off again, because that's just how I roll. So if you're a little bit of how many people here have a little bit of a rebellious nature? Anybody in the room have a little bit of an FU attitude sometimes? Yay, I love you guys already, right? I kind of made my bones, no pun intended, kind of rocking the boat and knocking over the apple cart, so to speak. And believe it or not, those things actually show on your face. And maybe, just maybe, we'll talk about those things tonight so you can avoid that kind of shit. Or at least getting involved with those kind of people if you need somebody to not rock the boat in your business. But everybody needs a little boat rocking now and then. So I'm here tempting fate, provoking the gods, because that's just how I do it. I'm going to ask you guys a real quick question before I get into my other stuff. How many veterans do we have on tonight's call? How many people have been bebopping around Planet David for a month, 2 months, 3 months? Anybody longer than 6 months? Let's just do that, right? If you've been bebopping around David for more than 6 months, you're an honorary veteran. If you've been to one or more of my trainings and have been bebopping around Planet David, you are absolutely a no longer probationary veteran. You're actually somebody who's been here. Holly's been here more than 6 months. Holly has been here since the dawn of time. I think the only one who's been to more trainings than Holly over a long period of time is Seth, who may or may not be on tonight. Moss, who is running tech for us in the back there, he's closing in on his 50th training. Lottie says, good hot energy, David. My little phone charger plug overheated. Well, that brings me to my next question. For those of you who've been around Planet David for a while, how's my energy today? Appearance-wise, energy-wise, how would you rate it? Just so I know. Just because the reason I'll tell you why I'm asking in just a minute. Okay. The reason is I've for the past couple weeks now, I've been working on a brand new program that I'm tentatively calling the Abundance Alchemy Crash Course. And in it, I'm going through some very, very powerful multimodal manifestation, clearing, and energy practices. And I've done like 3 of them today in the space of like 2 hours. And I'm just wondering if you guys can sense anything, right? Just through the chat rooms. I'm putting it out there. This will we'll talk more about that course, not on this webinar, because first of all, it's not ready yet, but also this is a face reading webinar. So this webinar is first and foremost all about you, even though it's starting with about me talking to you and stuff like that. The important thing to remember is that face reading is not new. many cultures have had a face reading tradition. The difference between where we're going today and maybe what some of the other approaches to reading the body, like phrenology or and those things, everything we're going to show you, we can document through literally thousands of years of use in Chinese medical diagnosis, as well as energy psychology. In certain places, we can actually point you to modern day scientific discoveries, which show how the predominance of certain hormonal pathways will lead to the exaggeration or the diminution of certain types of facial features. Now, we all know that nobody here believes that hormones actually affect your behavior and personality, do they? That's me. That's my facetious moment, right? So there are certain things, and I will refer you guys to the work of Dr. Helen Fisher in her book, Why Him, Why Her, for some of that information. There's other sources, but that's probably the one that would be most relevant to many of you. So if this is your first time with Planet David, please type your name and where you're checking in from in the chat. And if possible, what do you want to take away from tonight's training? What do you want to take away? What do you want to be able to do as a byproduct of tonight's training, right? Talisman B says, I guess. All right. Now we got about a 20-second delay for our YouTubers. All right, there's some funny chats going on. I got to see this. Okay, so let me see here. I'm just trying to get a direction on where we want to go today. I have look, if this is the scope of everything I have to teach you in face reading, I've got time for this. So I want to know how to target this information for you. I'm going to take you as far as I can and point you in the direction of where to level up and get more training and more knowledge and more information. Is that a fair trade? If you guys are okay with that, if you think that's fair, by all means, type that's fair in the chat and we'll move forward. Okay. Zoomers, I know you got a little bit behind me. So Sky says, I'd like to learn to detect when people lie. That's a very popular one. And we can show you how to do that. I have some stuff, but my mind goes blank if I'm excited. Okay. Well, in lieu of a lot more feedback from you guys, by the way, just so you know, I'm a teacher who thrives on feedback. There will be an offer connected to this training. So for those of you who see this as a viable part of your path, either as a healthcare professional, an influence professional, relationship management, whatever it is, I've never seen a more leverageable skill set than the face reading skill set in terms of how it can amplify everything else that we teach. So Sonia's here as a refresher. D Cook says fair, very good. To stop talking when people care in the middle of a conversation. Okay, I don't understand that statement, but I'll do my best with it. All right, so let's go into the Dr. David Dog and Pony Show. Now, I was hanging out with some of the guys and gals in the chat room on YouTube a few minutes before the webinar started, and they were talking about what do we need for tonight's webinar. You need lots of caffeine, oxytocin deriving substances, and a pen and paper. Lots of time to take notes here. I will do what I can to let you take screenshots of some of the things that we're going to be sharing with you tonight, but I promise I'll take you as far as I can. Traditionally, when we teach our classes, because even though these are technically a webinar promoting certain things, right, we try to give you as much actionable, workable, usable, immediately material that we can. So you don't have to believe any of the things that we're going to be sharing with you on tonight's webinar. All you have to do is go out and use them and test them for yourself. That's what's beautiful about everything we teach you here at Planet David. Belief is not necessary. All that's necessary is a playful attitude and a sincere desire to roll up your sleeves, do the drills, and experience the transformational skills that we have to share with you, right? I firmly believe that in a world where everything is smoke and mirrors, you need something that you can prove, something you can believe in. And the way you get to that point is by working with something that doesn't require you to believe in it, so you can prove it. And that's what we're going to do tonight. I have lots of stories I could tell about face reading. But first and foremost, let me go over for those of you who are brand new to Planet David, let me go ahead and go into a little bit about my background. Then we'll go into what's actually possible with face reading. What can we do with it? How can we use this and leverage it to make our lives better? And that's really what I'm excited about, because face reading is a way for you to really kind of take an X-ray, a snapshot, if you will, of a person's life history. Not necessarily in terms of the actual events that happened or the chronology of those events, although there are ways that you can actually kind of find that out. If you become an advanced face reader, I'll teach you those things. But one of the things that you can do very, very powerfully, very, very quickly, is you can look at a person's face, and by looking at the face at one level, in terms of the architecture of the face, in other words, the size and shape of the brow bone compared to the nose, compared to the cheekbone, compared to the jaws, right? You can start to extrapolate personality traits, okay? But on another level, if we look at the face in terms of the markings on the face, the wrinkles, whether they're vertical or horizontal, whether they're deep, whether they're very linear or long or short, where they appear on the face, we can look at a person's emotional history. We can literally pull out the emotions that they've been holding on to for longer and longer periods of time. And by extension and understanding correspondence, we can begin to actually say, well, this might be affecting their lungs, or if they're having lung problems, it might be because of the grief that they're demonstrating. So I'm going to be sharing different levels of face reading with you. We don't have time. Like I said, if this is the scope of everything there is to learn, we've got time for this. So what I've done tonight for you guys is I've cherry picked, so to speak, specific areas that are immediately applicable to any application or any area of your life. So if it's business, I'll show you how to use these things for business. If it's relationships, I'll show you how to use these things for relationships. If it's social applications, you can use face reading to become the life of a party. You can use it to book more clients for your business. You can use it to predict how clients or how your employees and your bosses are going to behave when presented with certain types of situations. It's amazingly powerful. Okay, and we'll kind of walk you through these things. So that'll be about the first one, about an Ozempic face. It's usually very hangy. That being said, tonight's webinar will be divided into 3 areas. The first area is foundations. These are things that you need to understand, you need to know, right, to be able to apply everything, right? If you take nothing else away but what we do in level 1, you're golden. Level 2, we're going to show you opportunities to level up your skills, ways that you can get more information, get more certifications, integrate these things into your life, into your business, into it in whatever way is appropriate for you. The third phase of tonight's webinar is what I like to call the customization phase. This is where it becomes really all about you, about what your particular application of focus is. In other words, whenever a group of people get together, right, there's an energy that happens. There's an egregore, to use a metaphysical term. And that egregore has certain characteristics, desires, and needs. And you'll find many times, especially if you start coming to a lot of our live classes, that a lot of people who have the same issues or the same life situations wind up sitting next to each other. So I've found at the end of that, part 3 of the webinar should always be about what you as a group most want to be able to do, what you want to be able to accomplish as a byproduct of tonight's training. And that's kind of the skeleton that we're going to be going through. So that being said, let me talk a little bit about my background and how I came to face reading and how we can start to really move the needle in the direction of applying face reading in our lives. So I'm going to jump to my PowerPoint really quick. I'm not a big PowerPoint fan, but this helps keep me a little bit organized. So you guys ready to play? All right. So first and foremost, who the heck is Dr. David Snyder and why should I care? Well, I am an actual doctor. In fact, I have 2 doctorates now. I have a doctorate from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I've maintained a clinic in Solana Beach, California, where my specialty was treating physiological illness that is caused by, believe it or not, repressed emotion. And if you've done any kind of homework, if you're a wellness professional, you're going to figure out really, really quick that it's pretty much 90% of the illnesses people are dealing with have an emotional basis or memory based. And so I spent a lot of time looking into the hearts and minds of people who've manifested very, very profound levels of illness, either through life situations, negative thoughts, repressions, trauma. I've worked with practically every kind of trauma that you can think of. And we've had amazing, amazing results. I'm very grateful for that experience because it's given me tremendous insight into how the human mind and body actually works synergistically to create the lives that we experience. But my credentials don't just stop there. I also have a doctorate, by the way. I've just finished a doctorate in Chinese energetic medicine, which is slightly different. I'll talk about that in a moment. This is a copy of the globalgurus.org slide from 2020, where I was named the #1 NLP trainer of the year for 2020. I've been in the top 2 slot in the NLP world from Global Gurus for at least the last 8 or 9 years. Hopefully you guys will go out and vote for me, and we'll do another year in a row as #1 or #2. So I hope you guys can support me there. If you go to globalgurus.org and go to the NLP section, you can vote for your favorite guru. I've authored over 15 different programs, guys, on various forms of human influence, everything from sexual enhancement, sexuality and compatibility, to healing language, to advanced conversational hypnosis, to advanced behavioral modification techniques, vibrational influence, remote influence. And we have a very, very comprehensive training on advanced hypnotic languaging that people absolutely love. And what you're seeing here is a letter from Global Gurus saying that, Dr. David, it is with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for NLP 2022. Now, fun factoid, we also received a letter like this for 2021, 2020, and 2023. I'm working on 2024. So some of the elements that we'll be talking about tonight are actually from this particular course, which is the #1 training program in the world for NLP. And what you're seeing here is actually, this is from our 2021 screen capture shot. So the first one was, and then of course, this is 2023, right? So again, we've been the #1 NLP program in the world going on 4 or 5 years now, as well as one of the top trainers. So I'm excited and proud about that. I'm very proud of the students we put out. There's a lot of interesting chats going on, but I have to focus. Okay. I've been a lifelong martial artist. I have a 10th degree black belt in Okinawan karate, 4th degree black belt in Shaolin Kung Tao, 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo, and a 1st degree black belt in Fankuru Jiu Jitsu. Now, let me just cut to the chase. Okay, this is a face reading class. Why are you talking about your martial arts? Well, the reason I'm talking about face reading is because the very first place I ever learned about face reading and how to read the face and diagnose the face was in my martial arts training. The Ryukyu Kempo system has secret arts within it called Kyusho Jitsu and Tuite Jitsu, which is the art and science of pressure point manipulation. In other words, hidden within our forms and many forms is a deeper art that teaches you how to attack and manipulate the energy meridians of the body. And so one of the aspects of that art is learning how to look at a person's face, the shape of their body, and to be able to figure out very, very quickly to profile exactly where the energy is very strong, therefore very vulnerable, and where it's very weak, which is usually associated with not a lot of sensitivity in that area. So for example, just to give you guys a little quick martial arts thing, people who have a receding hairline, a lot of the acupuncture points and meridians, they're not as active. And so vibrating them or whatever nerve needs to stimulate those, much more difficult with someone with a receding or thinning hairline than somebody who has a big, big, full head of hair, right? So just basic ideas like this. But again, my very first exposure to face reading and that there was something to this actually started in the martial arts. So when it comes to energy work, I've been a Reiki master teacher since before Reiki was cool in the early 90s. I'm very proud of my Reiki lineage. Because it's almost a direct connection back to the person who brought Reiki to this country by only 1 or 2 generations. I am a certified advanced pranic healer and psychotherapist. advanced DNA theta healing. I'm certified in the Bankston Energy Healing Method. And I just recently, as of August, graduated with my doctorate in Chinese medical Qigong or shamanic healing. So I have a DCEM, Doctor of Chinese Energetic Medicine, as well as a doctorate of acupuncture in Chinese medicine. So I'm very much an energy geek. I've been studying Kabbalah and related disciplines since before Madonna ever heard of Kabbalah. So I'm very much a prima donna. I'll let you use that as you will. So again, just I've kind of connected the dots already, but it's all about pattern recognition. Everything that I've talked about, the NLP, the hypnosis, the martial arts, the Chinese energetic medicine, the acupuncture and Oriental medicine, and the methods of diagnosis and profiling that go with this are all about one thing: pattern recognition. How to look at a person, how to perceive things about them, about the way energy is moving, the way where their emotions are stored, where their emotions are not stored, and being able to derive a profile from that you can then use to influence. You first learn to assess, then you learn to predict, and then you learn to influence. And that's how this process works. We look, we assess, we diagnose, to use that word. I'm a doctor, I can use that. You can't, so you just say profile. And then you decide, you predict, and you inject influence. That's how this all works. So if you don't have the training for the influence training, I'll show you where to go for those. But that's what this is all about. It's about patterns. Now, before I go any further, let me jump out of my PowerPoint really, really quickly, because this is important. Patterns at their core are generalizations, which means in terms of generalizations, it's true 51% of the time or better. Okay, so when we start looking at profiling and we start looking at influencing and predicting behavior, we have to look at what's true for most people. We have to master that first. And then we have to look at, okay, what are the exceptions to the rule? Because for every example that I give you, you can find an exception somewhere. The question is, when we look at the population as a whole, what do these patterns indicate? And that's what makes this useful. Human beings are all different, wonderful, unique snowflakes. You're all different, but not that much. And that's what makes any kind of pattern recognition training useful. Does that make sense? If you're with me on this so far, just type "I'm with you" in the chat. Are you comprehending what I'm sharing with you, what I'm trying to give you? Okay. Is this useful so far? Okay. All right, let me jump back. Okay. I want to go back to PowerPoint. I'm not going to stay here very long. I'll be jumping all over the place tonight, just so you know, because I'm a firm believer in avoiding death by PowerPoint, but it's important. Okay, so let's talk about why you're here tonight. All right. If you can answer yes to any of these questions, you're probably in the right place tonight. How many of you would like to be more attractive to members of the opposite sex or even the same sex? How would you like to be more charismatic? Just type yes, that's for me, in the chat, right? How'd you like to stop being afraid, stop being uncertain and insecure when dealing with human beings, right? How would it be if you could look at somebody and have a very, very good understanding of how that person is most likely to respond before you even approach? Would that be helpful or useful? Would you like to earn more money in your business, book more clients for your business, get a raise or promotion that you know you deserve? Protect yourself from manipulation and easily handle difficult people. I mean, think about it for a moment. One of the things you guys mentioned right off the bat when we were kind of going through our intro today was, how do I detect lies? I'm going to show you a couple of different ways tonight that you can use face reading, both old and new, to start looking at something as a potential lie. One will be a very old way that takes a little bit more awareness to really hone in on. The other one will be something that's a little bit more mechanical, and you'll be able to track that very, very easily. And it's the combination of the two that really kind of makes you really powerful in this. Okay. So if you'd like to have people thinking, feeling, and acting the way you want them to, so that they naturally want to follow your lead. By the way, that's actually a byproduct of becoming a face reader. One of the things that tends to happen is that when you interact with somebody and you start expressing information about them that you couldn't have, that they didn't tell you, that you couldn't have gotten any other way, their level of suggestibility and openness goes through the roof. This is something that a lot of mentalists have discovered, that when they're doing their mentalism acts, right, they can be wrong 9 out of 10 times, but the moment they get one hit, all the barriers and filters drop and the person starts hanging on their every word. So the nice thing about what we're teaching you is everything here is pretty much proven a lot by 2,500 years of Chinese medical observation, and by my students and myself in real world applications in business, banking, legal applications, things of that nature. But one of the things that really happens is people look to you as an authority automatically, which means they become hyper suggestible. They want to follow your lead. Even if they put up a bit of a defense at first, like, no, that's not right, in their head, if you've got a hit, they become hyper suggestible to you. So there's a tremendous power in your ability to really read and understand people, including yourself. But there's also a little bit of a responsibility that goes with this, and that to use this responsibly and to understand the impact that you're going to have on people when you start applying these skills. Okay, so I'm just putting that up front, right? If you'd like to get all your blocks out of the way and program yourself for financial abundance with more than enough money to buy the things you want and then some, this is probably a good class for you, because there are certain characteristics on the face for people who are naturally good at money. And if you make certain lifestyle choices, those features can actually change. That's where it gets really crazy and really woo-woo, right? If you like to attract and surround yourself with the right kind of people, the people who are will lift you up and support you and validate you and share your character, the same personality traits that make you feel happy and comfortable, this is probably a good place for you to be. Okay. So that being said, I see a lot of yeses in the chat. I'm curious about something. What's the dominant profession of all you folks? Right? How many of you are like wellness professionals versus upper managers, entrepreneurs? Tell me what you guys do for a living so I can kind of see where you're going to be using this. Okay, Sajid is a marketer, Manish is a marketer, communication, speaking coach, healing arts, Zenovian. Okay, all right, great. So one of the things that I really, really love about face reading is its ability to connect with a client or a patient and really create a bond with them that you can use in that therapeutic way to make things really, really work very, very well. So here's some of the things you're going to be able to do right away as a byproduct of tonight's training. First and foremost, if you stay until the end, the things you're going to come away with, I'm going to teach you how to understand personality and temperament just by looking at certain features on the face. I'm going to show you how you can begin to track and understand a person's emotional and trauma history. I'm going to show you how you can gauge and assess sexual and romantic compatibility, personality and temperament, and how to become a master of reading people and influencing them for their greatest good. So people ask me what's possible with face reading. Well, can you use it to make more money? Yes. Can you enjoy it? Can you use it to enjoy better relationships? Yes. Can you improve mental and physical health with it, yourself and your clients? 100%. Can you use it to lead and manage your teams better? Absolutely. Can it help my clients heal or reach their goals? For sure. It's going to help you understand yourself better. It's going to take the guesswork out of a lot of your communication quickly. Then the ability to profile gets faster and faster and faster. So there's all kinds of ways that we're going to use this. And I have literally a list of different ways that we can use this. And I'm not going to go through every single one. If you said yes to at least 2 or more of the things that I've talked about, this is absolutely, you want to absolutely stay until the end of tonight's webinar. Okay, because I got some stuff that's just going to blow your mind. Okay, so let's talk about the very first thing. Remember, I said at the beginning of the training, when it comes to reading faces, there's different levels that we can look at the face. Okay, so let's look at the big picture. a lot of people, if you would study with my teacher, Lillian Bridges, okay, who was the world's leading authority on face reading, she passed away in September, I think it was 2021 or 2022. And she was absolutely brilliant. She was being, at the time, she was being courted by at least two intelligence agencies, one of which began with C and ended with A. And the other was from a country adjacent to that country's intelligence agency. But she decided that she didn't really want to go that direction because she was deeply spiritual and she felt the potential misuse of these qualities or these skill sets. She couldn't control it, so she didn't want to share it. She shared it with everybody else, but she wouldn't share it with the intelligence community. But anyway, be that as it may. So the first thing we want to look at when we start looking at the face is we want to look at ways of dividing up the face, because depending on how we divide up the face will determine what kind of information we're going to get. So we're going to do things that are immediately the most useful. Okay, so for those of you in the healing professions, this is huge. Everything I'm going to share with you is directly applicable to everything. I mean, everything. So the first thing we're going to talk about is masks that people wear. In the Chinese systems, the Asian systems, how many people have ever heard the term lose face? Anybody? Just type it in the chat. Okay. So the reason that they say lose face is because everybody that you meet is wearing a mask. Now, this is a truism. You go 2,500 years back to the inception of these face reading disciplines, all the way up to my good friend and colleague Chase Hughes, who is the scientific modern behavioral analysis guru. Right? He's a good friend of mine, and we riff when we're out together. It's crazy. He will tell you exactly what I'm about to tell you. Everyone you meet is wearing a mask. Okay. Now, we can divide those masks up into two general categories. The first mask is the public face, the face you show the world, the identity, the image, the persona that you want everybody to view as the real you. Then you have your private face. That's the face that you only show to your intimate circle, or when nobody's looking, or with your romantic or partner, your this is who you truly are behind closed doors. What if it were possible to look at somebody and see both faces? Would that be useful? This is the interactive part of tonight's training. Okay, so here's how it works. If you take a person's face and you cut a line right down the middle, this is my right hand, by the way, in case your video is reversed. The right side of a person's face is their public face. This is who they are when everybody's watching, when the camera's on and the audio's playing. The left side is their private face. The left side of their face is who they are when the blinds are closed, the computer's off, the phone is muted, or in do not disturb mode. They're with their inner circle, their significant other, the person they trust the most, if at all. Okay? You guys with me so far? So let's talk about this. When we start reading faces, hold on, I gotta share my screen. When we start reading faces, the first thing we want to look at is the balance. Let me see if I can make that a little bit more centered. There's the balance between the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. Now, you'll notice that this chart is different from the way I did it because my screen is probably reversed. But so when we look at the face and we start to compare, some of the things we want to look at is the level of symmetry between the right side and the left side. So for example, one of the first places we look when we look at the face is we look at the eyes, right? Some people's eyes are very big. They're holding them very open. Some people's eyes, even if they're big, are held very closed. Okay. Now, why is this important? Because one of the things I want to do is I want to compare public versus private. Do these sides, how symmetrical are they? That's the big word. Let me go back to my text. I'm looking for symmetry. Okay. If I look at a person's face, and you'll see what I mean in a couple more slides, you'll see what I'm getting at. If I look at a person's face and I see a line that goes all the way down on this face, but that line stops here on this face, it tells me that in their private life, they're experiencing and holding on to a lot more sadness, grief, and sorrow. So when they're out in the world, they may have a smiley face on and they may be outgoing, but when they come home, in those unguarded moments, they're dealing with this. Okay. So what you'll see as we start looking at faces is the differences in the lengths of wrinkles. You'll see differences in the size of one feature to another. And those are the things that will jump out to a trained face reader, right? So for example, I'll give you just a quick primer on eyes. If someone is holding their eyes very open, they are, as a rule, more receptive, more expressive. You could read this as suggestible, but that would be probably a little overstating the thing. These people are kind of very optimistic. They're always the glass is half. They tend to be glass half full. Okay, they tend to wear their hearts on their sleeves. Okay, whereas somebody who has an eye that is, even if it's large, is smaller. It's held more closed. You're looking at somebody who is much more analytical, closed, i.e. secretive. They will be less emotionally responsive. They will think very carefully about what is being said and what they are going to say. Now, for those of you who are interested in lie detection, this is actually something you can start to zero in on when you're talking to somebody and their eyes are being held open. And again, this presupposes you know what a baseline is and how to create one. If you're talking to somebody and you say something that stresses them out, takes them by surprise, or makes them feel defensive in any way, you will watch the size of the eye shrink. In other words, the lids, they'll get more closed. This will become more slitted. right? You might also see the pupils shrink as well, right? There's a contraction that the body is experiencing, and that contraction is mirrored in the eyelids and the pupils. Okay. Think of a fear response. When people get afraid, they shrink. Everything closes in. This happens on a macro level. It also happens on a micro level. Okay. So one of the first things we as influencers and healers, coaches, we want to look at what's their normal. In other words, when they come in, hold on, let me erase this stuff. So when they come into your shop or they come into your office or over your Zoom chat or whatever, what's their baseline, right? One of the first things we're going to look at in their baseline is we're going to look at the overall right side versus left side. We're going to assess facial symmetry and trait size. Now, one of the cool things you guys can do, let me stop sharing my screen for a second. One of the cool things you guys can do is if you go to your iPhone or your app store or whatever, you can find little apps that will you can take your picture and it will take the right side of your face and superimpose it on the left side of your face. And you can take the left side of your face and superimpose it on the right side. So you have, and put them side by side, and you'll see two different people looking at you. And that's how you can actually create a profile to use a more woo-woo expression, your shadow self and your public self. Does that make any kind of, or your private self? Shadow self is probably not the right word, but is this useful? Yes or yes? Okay. Questions about public side versus private side? You good? Arturo says, great. Can someone hide their masks? Not well. Not well. There's two types of profiling that I do and I teach. One I teach purely as the face reading. The other is something I teach in Defense Against the Dark Arts, which is called active profiling. People who are naturally sociopathic, who don't feel a lot of emotions, are not bugged by those kinds of feelings, don't carry them around, they're a little bit harder to read, but that's what makes them easier to read, because they're hard to read. There's no expression, there's no emotion lines, right? They tend to have a very bright affect, but it's very cold. So we'll talk a little, we'll get into the psycho-emotional aspects of face reading, which will probably be in part 3. I'll talk a little bit about what we call Shen, which is heart and mind, and how that relates to energy. Okay. The other way that people can sort of hide their masks, but it doesn't really work all that well, is by absorbing themselves in a particular emotion or set of emotions and just staying there. But you'd have to do that. That takes an awful lot of energy. Okay. Because what you're seeing, and that's only for the moment. What you're seeing when we look at faces, like from the Chinese Asian face reading perspective, is the lifetime of emotional micro expressions and repressions. Things are either expressing or they're repressing. And that just builds up. If you think of it like this, right? If I take a piece of paper and I put it on the desk, it doesn't have a lot of weight to it, right? If I take another piece of paper and I put it on top of that, well, that bottom piece got heavier because of the weight. That's how your emotions are. So when you look at and we'll show you the emotional map in just a moment. There's way more stuff than what's on the emotional map. A lot of people think when I teach this class that the emotional map and the things you're seeing are all the things there are to face reading. Trust me, it's the tip of a very, very large, very deep, very powerful iceberg. But again, I can't take you there. I need to give you things you can take out into the world right now. So public versus private is the first thing we want to look at. Okay. Questions about this before I move on to the next piece? Okay. That being said, what if you could look at somebody and with a high degree of confidence know exactly how to talk to them so that they would not only listen to your message, actually be inclined to make the decision you want them to make? Would that be useful? Yes or yes? Okay. I'm hoping that's a yes because I found that interesting as hell, right? Okay. So let's talk about decision-making strategies. How do we look at somebody's face and start to expand our profile? We got public versus private. Now we're going to look at three areas. We're going to look at mental activity, pragmatism or mundane levels or mundane activities, and emotional and instinctive programming. Everybody has all three, right? So if we were to go to a popular self-help books and stuff like that, like probably the best one that I can think of is the M-Brain technology by Grant Suzalu and the other gentleman's name is Oka, Stephen Oka, I think it's Stephen Oka. They'll talk about the three brains that we have. How many people have ever heard of the gut brain? Anybody? Okay, good. How many have heard of the heart brain? Have you heard of heartmath.org? Right? And of course, we know about this brain, yes? Here's the thing that's really fascinating about human beings is we're quantum creatures, we're quantum beings, and we are fractal and holographic in nature. If you ask the quantum physicists, the quantum mechanics, they'll tell you that we're basically light, refracting at certain angles, with a lot more empty space than physical matter or energetic matter. We're basically light. And so, but that light that we are, that make us up, is fractal and holographic. So what does that actually mean? I can, as an acupuncturist, I can treat every part of your body through corresponding points in your ear. I can treat every part of your body through corresponding points on your eye. I can treat every part of your body through corresponding points on your face. I can do it on your hand. I can do it on your forearm. I can do it on places you don't want to mention on a YouTube channel. Okay. I can even do it on your tongue, believe it or not. Why is this important? Because as above, so below. So we all know that you have a reptile brain, a mammalian brain, and a neocortex, right? If you look at the studies of brain, you have the brainstem and the paleocortex. Over top of that is your mammalian or emotional brain. Over top of that, you have the neocortex, the rational lying brain. Well, guess what? There are correspondences disseminated throughout your entire body. The gut brain is your reptile brain. The heart brain is your mammalian brain. The neocortex or the head brain is your neocortex. And those relate directly to these three zones of your face. So I can tell where you spend the most of your time and how you relate to the world through the proportions of these three zones. So let's look at this. So what you see here, oops, actually I have to share the screen, don't I? So what you see here is a division of the face. So if you look at somebody, again, what we're looking at is proportions relative to each other. So if you see somebody and you measure from their eyebrow to the crown of their head, you're looking at their mental zone. This is what they're doing with their mind. So they may be very creative, they may be very cerebral, they may be very data-driven. And that's the thing I want you to really focus on. People with a much higher upper zone they're all about the data. They're all about abstract concept and thought and cognition and things of that nature. My good friend Brandon, who's on the call, my chief technical officer, He has a classic tech head. And what I mean by that is his head is his upper zones a lot like mine. It's very big, and then his middle and his lower zones are much more pointed. And so every time I ask Brandon a question, he tends to answer me with a spreadsheet, right? Now I don't want you to believe this. I just want you to go test it. I want you to go to the local tech campuses where you live. Like where I live here in San Diego, we have Qualcomm, and we have all these different tech companies, right? If you're up in North California, go to Silicon Valley and hang out in these tech campuses or college campuses at lunchtime and look at the foreheads. And what you will see in most of your technical, scientific, cerebral applications, very, very high foreheads, very, very large in proportion to the rest of the zones. Now you go to the local MMA gym, CrossFit, CrossFit gym, and look at the jaws, look at the eyebrows and the brow bones specifically, and you will see, as a rule, much more pronounced jaw, a much more defined jaw. These are people who are very body driven. They're very emotional. They're very gut driven. That doesn't mean they're stupid by any, it has nothing to do with intelligence. Everything to do with how they relate to the world, primarily. So the bigger the zone, the stronger the drive, the stronger the trait. Okay. So people who have a larger middle zone, this space here, these people are very pragmatic. They're focused on, how is this going to make my life better? How can I use this? What's it going to do for me? Right? People with a big upper zone, tell me the story. Give me the data. Give me the research. Right? Prove it. People with a big middle zone, show me. Right? How's this going to make my life better? People with a big, larger zone, do I love it or don't I? What does my gut tell me about it? Right? So when I look at somebody, I can see right away, the first thing I want to say is, are they data driven? Are they pragmatics? Are they instinctive or emotional? Right? And that's how I want to begin, or how I want to lead with my presentation. Okay? If someone's got a high upper zone, I'm going to lead with data. I'm going to present and I'm going to use data. If they've got a big middle zone, I'm going to talk about all the things this is going to do for them, how it's going to make their life easier, and why it's going to be important for them. If they're in the lower emotional zones, I'm going to talk about all the amazing things they're going to feel and experience as a byproduct of what I'm sharing with them. Okay? Are you guys with me on this count, on this aspect so far? So that's intuitive. That's intuitive, right? If you understand what we're looking at. But now what I look at is, I want to look at their secondary zone. In other words, when I look at somebody, and we'll use me as an example, right? You can see I have a really big upper zone, right? So I'm thinking all the time. Now I have other traits going on that kind of help me. But if you come to me and you say, hey, I got some really cool things that you're going to love, I'm going to say, well, how do you know? I'm going to ask for the data, right? I'm a thinker. I'm an integrator, right? You come at me and you're thinking, oh, David's just data driven, but you have to look at my other two zones. Why? Because I want to look at the secondary zone to figure out what I need to follow up with, right? So let's say you look at my zone and you see that I have this really big upper zone, right? And then my middle zone, and then my lower zone. Now, can you see the difference? Like, here's my hairline, right? I'm trying to come out here. See how big my upper zone is compared to my middle zone? I take my middle zone, and you can see now that I'm a 1, 2, 3, right? Tell me the data, show me how it's going to help me. I'll decide if I love it or not. So when you present to me, if you present in that sequence, I'm going to listen to you better. I'm going to listen to you more, because you're giving me the information that I relate to the universe to. You're giving me my process, my strategy. For those of you who've ever learned the CPI model, we talk about jump into their process: data, pragmatism, emotion. Okay. But what if this zone is here, and then this is the same size, and then this is teeny? What do I know now? Type in the chat. What do I know about these people now? If this is the big zone, this is the second, and this is the third. How do I present to them? This is the interactive part of the class, folks. Right. So I might open with, hey, Joe, listen, I discovered this really cool thing. I think you're going to love it. Here's what it's going to do for you. Tell me what your gut says. It's going to do this, and 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 it's going to help you experience this, and it's going to be amazing. And here's the proof. If I understand these zones, the full sequence, I know exactly what to say in the order that I need to say it. If you want to just keep it simple, spot the biggest zone, start with that. Now, if you combine this with something we teach in our other classes called the echo technique, now you're really cooking with gas. Okay, now you're stacking all of these different tools into one powerful presentation. It's gonna grab their nervous system by the short hairs, literally, or by the brainstem if you really want to be technical about it. And they're gonna focus on you. They're gonna zero in, and they're not gonna let go. And that's power, because remember, where attention goes, energy flows. If you take energy out of the equation, remember this: attention is the currency of relationships. The more you can harness and direct attention, the more influence you have over that system. Face reading will do this like almost nothing I've ever encountered. Why? Because people are fascinated by themselves. Okay. Yes, you're going to understand people and yourself better than you've ever understood yourself. Or every morning when you look in the mirror, you will know more about your physical body and what's going on inside of you than most doctors. Like that. If you follow this training, right? When you work with clients, you'll see stuff that hasn't manifested yet, but you'll know it's coming. Right? Again, it really depends on if you master these skills, right? And then, of course, the interpersonal aspect of it, where all of a sudden you start telling a person about their most deep emotional experiences, and the floodgates open. And now you can really help these people. You can guide them, you can inspire them, you can motivate them, you can help them heal by helping them unlock those emotional pockets that are showing and scattered throughout the body. Right? It's such a powerful force multiplier to every other therapeutic or influence technique that you have. It's truly changed my life. And I want to share this with as many people as possible, because Lillian passed away. And, I might get flack for saying this, and I apologize to anybody I might offend from the face reading community. It pretty much died with Lillian. Her family tried to keep the business going and promote classes and stuff like that, but I haven't heard much from them in 2.5 years, 3 years. And so there's a few of us out there that are trying very much to take the gift we were given from Lillian, modernize it, and give it to the world so that it can make a difference. That's what she wanted more than anything else. So I share this with you from that place. So is this useful? Is this helpful? Can you see how you could use this out in the world? Now, don't take my word for it. Go out and test it. Test it. When I was describing the 3 zones, how many of you found yourselves in what I was describing? Okay, then I'm doing it right. All right, so for my next part, I'm not going to have time to finish the entire map before we have to transition into phase 2, which is how to become a master face reader, how to become certified and gain the skills to go out into the world and apply this right away. I have a really cool set of offers that I think you'll love. And hopefully you guys will see how this can make a difference, and you'll decide to become part of the family. But be that as it may, let's start with something that is going to pay even you bigger dividends in terms of your outcomes with your clients, with your significant others, with your employees, with your supervisors, with any human being that has emotions, and even some that don't. Okay, let's talk about emotions and how to spot them on the face so that we can begin to create the emotional profile of a person. Let me just, okay. So before I show you the picture, the way this chart is set up, all of the traits are bilateral. In other words, I can have joy on this side of the face, I can have joy on this side of the face, but they're only marked on one side. So some people often ask, well, does joy only show up on that side of it? No, unless I say otherwise, like the traits right down the center, all of the emotional markings can be on the right side or the left side, usually both. The difference is degree based on public versus private. Okay, you guys with me so far? Okay. Okay. All right. This is of all the maps I've shared with you, this is by far my absolute favorite. And the reason for that is because when I was going through, hold on a second, I got to close this somehow. The reason for that is when I was first exposed to face reading, I was big into the world of influence and persuasion. I'd always been fascinated by body language and behavior. I studied it in college, actually. I was actually torn between majoring in criminal justice or medicine. And I looked at the salary potential of the average police officer, the amount of stress that they go through, their marital status, and promptly chose healthcare. But I never lost my passion and my love for understanding human behavior and psychology and how I can apply this. So we're going to start. I'm going to go for about 10 minutes. We're going to go through as many of the traits as we can. Then we're going to transition into phase 2. I'm going to go through the programs we have set up for you. And then I'm going to circle back. And in phase 3, I'm going to finish this map. And then we're going to customize the rest of the content of tonight's webinar to what exactly you want to know most about. You want to know more about eyes. You want to know more about foreheads. You want to know more about tongues. You want to know about sexual and romantic compatibility. You want to know about matchmaking. You want to know about lie detection. You want to know about business applications for this. How do I pick somebody for the right job and the right business based on their face, right? These are all things that we can talk about, and I'm happy to share that information with you for the time that we have. But let's jump in right now. So we're going to begin, if you think of this like a clock face, with 12 o'clock being here, at the 1 o'clock position, you'll see a line that extends from about the midpoint of the eyebrow, just above the eyebrow, towards the outer lateral border. This is a skepticism line. When you see this line, you're dealing with somebody who spends a lot of time not taking things for granted. They take everything with a grain of salt, and they need to see proof. If you see this line and a really high forehead, what can you extrapolate about those two traits working together? Just take a guess. This is how you have to think when you're a face reader and you're a profiler. This is what you have to really kind of take into consideration, right? How do these traits work together? Once you've got skeptic until something is proven. Yeah, they're gonna say, show me the data, like prove it. Now, don't get me wrong. Every single one of these people are going to say prove it, but the question is how. How do they want you to prove it? If somebody has a big upper zone and they're skeptical, they want you to show them the data. If somebody has a skepticism line and a big middle zone, you see this in a lot of diamond-shaped faces. Someone with big cheekbones. They want to they want you to prove it by showing them. Demonstrate it for me. Right? And you're going to see a similar thing play out in the lower jaw. In fact, what I would go so far as to say, the further down the face you get, the more visceral the proof has to be. Okay, so again, I don't normally teach this level of trait stacking. You guys are kind of getting some stuff behind the curtain, but this is how we think in face reading. Once we understand the individual traits and how they all work together, or what they are on an individual level, which is powerful in and of itself, now you can start to look at the context, the physical trait, and the emotion, and start to extrapolate what's going to happen from that. And a lot of these things, once you really memorize and understand the traits, a lot of this stuff will just pop up on a very intuitive level for you. There's this weird intuitive amplification that happens when you're trained in the classical face reading systems. Lillian never did attunements or anything like that, but I've been in Reiki long enough to know when an attunement's being passed. So there's some kind of weird vibrational, energetic phenomena that happens when you become trained in this approach. So, and that's my 2 cents on that. So another line we want to look at, and these are ones you're going to see everywhere. And if you need to prove face reading to yourself, this will pretty much do it. This is where modern science also meets ancient science. So if we look at the outer canthus, which is the corner of the eyebrow, you have crow's feet, or lines that start at the outside of the canthus and they travel upward. This is called a joy line. And this would be considered good joy. Well, that implies, David, that is there a bad joy? And the answer is yes. If you go across to this map and you look over here, you'll see lines, again, that look like joy lines, but they don't stop. Like the joy lines over here, they stop at the corner of the eyebrow. But these lines travel up beyond the borders of the eyebrow. And when you see these lines traveling up beyond the borders of the eyebrow, you start to see what we call pathological joy, or, as you see here written, mania. So this is good joy, not so good joy. Mania is very bad for the heart. Okay. And we'll talk about how this manifests. You'll see this a lot in people with bipolar disorder. You'll see this in some borderlines. You'll see this in a lot of drug, meth users and people who are using a lot of stimulants. You'll see this pathological joy starting to manifest. Okay. Because we're gonna, what if they're more of a blue collar? So Stein over Renning is asking, what if they're more of a blue collar? Their occupation is not really going to make a whole lot of difference in terms of the trait of skepticism. Let me go back to this. So this isn't really going to be affected by whether you're a blue collar or white collar worker. Although I will tell you that auditors, lawyers, scientists, police officers, a lot of mental health people have these lines. They develop them. What the blue collar versus white collar occupation may have an impact on, though, is the size and shape of the jaw and the forehead. In fact, I was teaching a class not too long ago, and I was telling people, let's say that when I was younger, I was big and I was strong, and I decided to work my way through college or high school, as a furniture mover or something like that, right? And I liked it so much I stayed with it. And 10 or 15 years into that career, I'm big and I'm strong and I've got this big old jaw and big old brow bones. And then for whatever reason, I just get disillusioned and I realize I'm selling myself short. Not that I'm passing judgment on that vocation, but the person realizes that they want something a little bit more polished. And so they invest in a college education, they become an engineer, right? I promise you that you will see a massive change by the time they're finished with that degree. You will see a massive change in the relative size of the jaw and the forehead. It will literally change. Okay. Don't believe me. Go test it. Okay. And by the way, how many face readers do? How many of my practitioners, face reading practitioners, do we have on the call tonight? Just type that's me in the chat. Seth says yo. Holly says me. Okay. How many people have me-ish? Heather says, how many people have done a face reading on somebody, and by the end of the reading, their face was different? Literally, the faces can change right in front of you. And that's fascinating and magical and scary at the same time. Right? The faces will literally change. If you're a hypnotist, I challenge you, when a person comes into you for a session, right? Or even a body worker, but usually it's you have to do a little bit more alchemy to get the shift. When someone comes into you for a body work session or a hypnotherapy session, rather, take a snapshot of their face. And then take another one when they come out. And when they leave, put them side by side and look at them. You will see profound differences in the face. The question is, do they keep them or not? Right? My belief and my experience has been these things are happening all the time. It's just so subtle, we're not paying attention, so we don't know to look for them. Okay. But you will see lifestyle can dramatically shift your facial architecture. And as your architecture changes, so does your personality traits. That's what's beautiful about this whole thing, guys, is that you're not stuck. There's very few things that we can determine from face reading that you're permanent, that have to be permanent, that can't be modified or changed in some way. And it's an amazing way for those of you who are healers and caregivers and coaches to gauge deep level change in your clients, in your subjects. Okay. We're going to cover these last three lines, and we're going to go into our presentation for phase 2. So you notice at the outer corner of the eye here is a line that goes a little way down, and then there's a slightly longer line, and then an even longer line. What you're seeing here are 3 degrees of sadness: sadness, sorrow, and grief. The way you can start to think about these things is bad, worse, worst. The stuff that hits the grief line has been there the longest. And it's been repressed the most. So this is something that, for those of you who are in the healing professions, if you got someone who's coming to you for grief resolution of any kind, If you actually start to do an inventory, you'll find a lot of times they have lung and intestinal problems, because those are the organs related to that energy. For those of you who are treating clients with lung problems, many times as they start to heal, they'll start to cry. So the longer and deeper the line, the longer and deeper the emotional reservoir it's connected to. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is another form of loss that I see quite often. And that's here. You have a line that starts at the inner canthus and travels down. This whole area, by the way, is a lung area. So any line that passes through there has connection to the lung. This is called a lost love line. This line is something you'll see in people who have had something that was a very big part of their identity. It could be a person, many times it is not. It is usually something that is such a part of their mission in this life, a part of their reason for living, that makes their heart sing, that the loss of it creates a very deep hole in them that they can't fill. So part of your job as a healer, if you're going to be a golden path worker, where if you've ever had people come to you and say, I know I'm supposed to do something with this life, I just can't figure out what you're dealing with now is what the Taoists call golden path, or Ming. Ming means destiny. When you come into this world, when you take on a body, there are certain things you're supposed to accomplish in this incarnation. And many times the traits, qualities, and attributes that are in alignment with that mission are the things that give you the most joy, that make your heart open and sing. And if it's for some reason you lose one of those pieces, one of those elements, you will tend to mark from the inner canthus down. Now, I've seen this line manifest two different ways. I've seen it manifest just like you see it here, where it starts and it travels down this way. I've also seen it come start at the inner canthus, come across to meet with the sadness line, and then trickle down. Either way, you're dealing with a loss that is very, 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 not just personal, but spiritual in many cases. And part of your job as the healer in that context, if you're aware of this, is to help them to reclaim this, to get this back in some way. If you've got that line, then part of your destiny, part of your healing path is to reclaim the thing that was lost, or heal as much as humanly possible from it. Okay? So we looked at skepticism, joy, sadness, sorrow, grief, lost love. The last one I'm going to talk about really, really quickly is disempowerment. Disempowerment tends to manifest in appeasement type relationships. In other words, you'll see this a lot in abuse cases, child abuse, domestic abuse. You may even see it to a certain degree in institutional abuse. All right, and I'll elaborate more on that in part 3, and how that looks and what the etiology behind that is. Has this been useful so far? Have you guys gotten things that you can take out into the field and start putting to work? Okay, cool. Are you guys ready to take it further? Figure out how to level this stuff up? Cool. So with your permission, I'd like to share with you some very special opportunities just for you guys. And here's where we're going. For those of you who liked what you saw, who see how it can make a difference in your practice, I'd like to invite you to take part and participate in our Face Reading for Fun and Profit Face Reading Mastery Home Study course. This is a course that's going to teach you how to read anyone's face, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, for any reason, and instantly apply that information in a way that's immediately useful to yourself and to the people that you're seeking to help or influence in a positive way. Face reading is all about taking your life to the next level. It's about becoming more aware of who you are inside, what's going on at the different levels of your mind, body, energy, and spirit, and utilizing that information to make a profound change in yourself and the people who matter to you. It's about learning how to read people instantly, predicting their behavior so you can help more people and feel more confident in the interventions and the directions that your guidance and your influence are taking. As a byproduct of this, you're going to become exponentially more powerful in every aspect of your life, from your business applications to your romantic applications, your social and familial applications. Everything where human beings are involved is going to become easier, faster, more certain in every conceivable way, because you understand people on a level that most people don't even know exists, much less can tap into. As a byproduct of that, people are going to find you automatically more charming, charismatic. They're going to want to follow your lead. And as a byproduct of that, it's simply going to make you more and more irresistible. It's just how things roll out. It's almost like you don't have to plan it with this stuff. Once you understand face reading, these things just kind of happen automatically. But you can intentionally do them as well. So here's what we got for you. Now, this offer is good until tonight, 11:59 p.m. And because we're rolling into the holiday season, I'm going to take the limit off. If you've bought a webinar package from us before, you can buy this one too. Okay. Usually we limit this to first-time buyers only, but we're going to go ahead, raise the ceiling because it's the holidays and we want you to get out there and make a difference in the world. Okay. So we're going to start with our face reading for fun and profit home study course. This is our flagship home study course. This is going to teach you everything you need to know to read faces anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, how to quickly and easily assess personality and temperament, discover and implement a person's thinking and decision-making style so that you can use this for yourself and other people, how to unlock emotional traumas and to profile a person's emotional history so you can figure out what emotions they're holding on to, where their traumas happened, what ages they happened. There's all kinds of ways that we can determine all these things. We're going to teach you their management style. We're going to show you how to gauge and assess sexual and romantic compatibility, the ability to manage money and resources. Some people have a facial architecture that makes them naturals for accumulating and building wealth. Other people have to have other things in place or have to find ways to change their facial architecture for those monetary abundances to manifest. We'll show you what they are and how you can work with them and how you can select the right people who are more likely to give you the best financial advice. Wouldn't that be useful? Right? So we'll give you the ability to manage the money and resources, how to connect with people more fully. And probably of all the things I've talked about, as powerful as they are, so much of the ability to connect and understand the people that we're seeking to help and influence is a byproduct of this training. I can't tell you just how deep these connections go. But the important thing to remember is that as you get this ability, it's important to manage these connections because you will become a very, very popular human being. We'll give you the ability to predict human behavior, right? And that's very, very useful if you're managing a business or you have teams that you need to motivate, things of that nature. You'll automatically be the most fascinating person in the room. And in many cases, it'll be very, very hard to fool you. So this is a $1,997 value. It's a home study course, comes with 2 complete manuals, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but again, this is a special offer, so we've got more for you. If you click on the link when it becomes available, or you reach out to me right now and ask for a link, we're going to include these special bonuses for you just as a way to flesh out and really create a comprehensive way of profiling and understanding human behavior and influencing it positively while rounding out your ability to profile and make a positive impact on people. So the first thing that we're going to give you is our flagship NLP course for 2022 and 2023. This is our Defense Against the Dark Arts program. You know, one of the things that a lot of you guys expressed to me during the opening parts of the webinar was being able to catch liars and tell lies. And so Defense Against the Dark Arts is all about taking your face reading skills, your behavioral profiling skills, your lie detection skills, your micro expression skills, synergizing them into a complete profiling system and a counter manipulation system. So let me explain what that means. In defense against the dark arts, we're going to teach you about how to read the face. We're going to teach you about the psychology of sociopaths, narcissists, dark triads, domestic abuse people. We're going to show you and teach you the behavioral tells, the red flags that they emit that let them know, that let you know that you're dealing with a potentially toxic individual, right? And that can be someone as simple as somebody who's just a misogynist or a very devout anti-masked male person, or someone who's very, very opinionated, to dark triads and human traffickers and drug dealers and potential icky people like child molesters and just I don't even want to talk about that. But this course is really, really important because it gives you the ability to apply your behavioral skills, your face reading skills, to select and deselect people, how to get people to want to tell you the truth, even if they're not primed to do that. It's going to teach you how to actually turn the tables on these people, how to actually diffuse and neutralize their behavior, their attempts at manipulation. Not only that, it's going to teach you how to influence people positively and ethically, anytime, anywhere, under any situation or circumstance. It's going to give you some of the most powerful hypnotic language patterns that exist, how to make people like, love, and trust you and want to tell you the truth in as little as 20 minutes. It's going to show you in very, very powerful ways how to create connections with people that have their hearts synchronizing, to pass emotions back and forth, right? If there were a Jedi skill that we keep kind of to ourselves, is our patented approach to state control and projecting and receiving emotions. We call it empathic transference or empathic influence. That's part of this training as well. We're going to teach you how to read micro expressions so that you know exactly what emotions people are trying to conceal. And we'll teach you how to put all these things together into a profile. And then we're going to have you drill on these skills over and over and over again until you can do them in your sleep, right? So that's what the course is going to do for you. Here's part of how that's going to do it. You're going to get 16 videos, starting with what we call the Universal Persuasion Protocol, that's going to teach you how to think like a master influencer. Persuasion experts have a different way of approaching interactions. And it's important to understand that you are, whether you're a healer, a coach, a manager, a mediator, any form of therapeutic intervention is a form of influence, and you need to think strategically. And we're going to show you how to do that. It's very simple, and it's a very simple tweaks, but it'll allow you to really get some clarity on some of the interventions and how you apply them. We're going to teach you how to control your own psycho-emotional state so no one else can push your buttons ever again. Not only that, we're going to teach you how to leverage that control and bridge it through power rapport skills into connecting with another human being or a group of human beings, and literally synchronize your nervous system to theirs and transmit powerful emotional messages into their minds and bodies that cause them to be primed to connect with you and to respond to your communications in a way that's exponentially more powerful than most people are used to. In our approach to rapport training, we have 3 distinct levels of rapport. The first level of rapport is the kind of rapport training that you would get in any NLP training or any Ericksonian hypnosis training or any sales training. But then we take it even further. We show you how to get neurological, vibrational, kinesthetic rapport with another human being in a way that you can test it, right? And then we'll show you how to add and build on that rapport to create powerful states of connection and attraction. Classical NLP style rapport skills will not get you attraction. Okay, they will get you liking to a certain degree, they'll get you trust, but they won't get you attraction. There's a specific set of other faculties that you need to layer on top of kinesthetic rapport in order for attraction to be spontaneously generated. We're going to teach you all 3 levels so you can specifically select the type of rapport approach you want to take and leverage that. Now, I will tell you that the power rapport skills training and the psycho-emotional state training that you get are prerequisites for all of our advanced vibrational healing and influence and unleash the magic programs. So if you have a strong desire to do any form of energetic training with us, You have to have that skill set. In fact, I just finished teaching the first vibrational influence class that I've taught in 4 years. And by the end of the third day, they were raising and lowering people's blood pressure, body temperature, pulse rate in minutes, right? On a subject that didn't know they were being influenced, in what direction they were being influenced. And we were using blood pressure machines and thermometers to do it. That's how powerful this training is. Okay. I may actually release some cuts from that tape when they were doing that. I haven't decided yet. But then we're going to teach you the 7 most powerful hypnotic language patterns that exist. We're going to teach you advanced conversational frameworks for getting people to emotionally bond with you at any time, anywhere, under any circumstance, and want to do the things you want them to do. We're going to teach you how to use it ethically and honestly, and how unethical people try to hack it so you can detect it and protect yourself. We're going to teach you how to turn any no into a yes and have people actually want to do the thing they just told you they didn't want to do, and how to create a deep level of connection, bond, and emotional trust in as little as 20 minutes. A connection bordering on love. We're going to teach you how to manage the emotional states of other people. I just talked about that, right? We're going to teach you how to utilize a person's own internal behavior code. Like you guys remember when I was showing you the decision strategy, like, are they data driven? Are they pragmatic? Are they emotionally driven? Well, people have other types of behavioral codes that you can also pay attention to and inject into your communication to make it even more powerful. We'll show you how to do that. We'll teach you how to emotionally bond anyone's deepest emotional desires to get them to do what you want them to do. That's all part of the dark arts. But there's also fundamentals of lie detection on demand, how to spot sociopaths, narcissists, and other evil a-holes before they can get their hooks in you. Speed profiling secrets for preventing predators from getting their hooks into you. I just said that. How to turn the tables on these guys. Hypnotic reframe techniques for winning any argument and keeping yourself from being gaslighted. 21 conversational red flags that you need to look for that flag people who are going to be abusive or manipulative and unethical going forward. We'll teach you how to instantly spot microexpressions and change, exchange, and subtle cues, and a whole lot more. This is an amazing course. It's been voted the #1 NLP training course in the world for the last 2 years. I'm hoping we go for another year. And a year is absolutely free as part of this package. So the total value on this is $1,997. Combine that with your face reading study training, it's a $3,994 program. Okay. We're also going to include one of the most powerful transformational courses we've ever created. This is our Identity by Design Hypnotherapy Home Study course. This is a program that can literally take you from a hypnotic zero to a hypnotic hero in just hours. Literally will teach you how to hypnotize anyone, anytime, anywhere, for any reason. How to remove blocks to success and limiting beliefs. How to find and remove hidden negativity you didn't even know you had. How to find and remove issues that just don't seem to go away. Or worse yet, they go away and they come back. If you've ever dated somebody dated a different person with the same person with a different face, this is what I'm talking about. If you've gone to the chiropractor a gazillion times and the pain keeps coming back and there's nothing wrong with you, I'll show you how to fix that, right? In literally minutes, sometimes seconds, right? But I actually have to explain the technique for you to do it. So usually it's a little bit longer than seconds. But how to clear up issues that just don't seem to go away. How to change that crappy voice inside your head, the one that's always telling you why you shouldn't go for things, why you don't deserve to have them, how everything is going to go wrong. I'm going to teach you how to change that voice in your head once and for all. But not only am I going to teach you how to change your voice, I'm going to teach you how to help your clients change their voice. I'm going to teach you how to remove their shit that goes away and comes back. I'm going to teach you how to remove their blocks and limiting beliefs. I'm going to teach you how to work with your clients anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. There are graduates from some of the classes we've done who are on this call right now who have been trained to do hypnosis next to a jackhammer with 100% success in a lobby undergoing renovations. Okay. In classical hypnosis, there's a lot of mythology that installs limiting beliefs in people. We're going to explode those and turn you into one of the most powerful transformation specialists on the planet. That is not an idle boast. I promise you, if you go through this, when you go through this training, if you're not hypnotizing people at the drop of a hat, anytime, anywhere, in any venue or situation, I'll refund your money, because this program is head and shoulders the most powerful hypnosis training process we've ever come up with, right? We're going to teach you how to change and resolve negativity from your past, so that when people look back at their past, they only remember it in ways that make their life better. We're going to drain the energy from all their negative memories and put it into their positive memories, so their positive memories become bigger and stronger and more compelling than ever before. We're going to teach you how to install the traits, qualities, and characteristics of people you want to be more like, whose talents and skill sets you admire, into yourself and into your client, how to do instant and rapid inductions in just seconds, how to deal with some of the most powerful and emotional, when things go wrong, how to fix it and keep running and get the change no matter what. That's my commitment to you. I want you to have this course, because as a face reader, you're going to become an emotional reaction generator. You're going to see things in people, you're going to talk about them, and they're going to break. They're going to have emotional, cathartic responses that you need to know how to manage. So I want you to have the most powerful tools that you can deploy anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. Plus, you can take these skill sets right into your existing practice and use these to accelerate and amplify the outcomes you're already getting. It's a $1,497 value. We're going to give this to you free. Why? We want you to be ready. We want you to have the tools. We want you to be unstoppable in your direct and really help the people that matter most to you. We're also going to include, this is a special course we did several years ago. This is called People Reading for Fun and Profit. And this is the course that's going to kind of cover all the other stuff that doesn't have to do with the face. So we're going to teach you to read people's body language and expressions, so you can understand the body language of attraction and repulsion, of interest and disinterest, how to detect lies and other deceptive behaviors, how to influence people without words, which is really cool, how to project charm, confidence, and charisma on command, how to understand men better, how to understand women better, how to dress for success, and much, much more. Not only that, you'll learn how to eliminate the behaviors that you're engaging in that you may not even be conscious of, that are actually weakening your charisma, your credibility, the trust that people are giving to you or ascribing to you. If you want to be more seen, this is probably one of the most important classes that you can attend. Okay, we'll teach you how to close more deals, get more dates, and everything else that good people reading skills and body language skills will allow you to get. It's a $1,497 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. So if you did the math, the total value on this would be $6,988. I'm hoping you can see how it all kind of fits together. We put a lot of thought into this package for you guys, and we want you to be able to make the most of it. We want to give you the most support that we can, and the guidance and the tools to really get things done at a high level. So if it's okay with you, let's just review for a second. So you're going to get the Secrets of Face Reading Home Study course, valued at $1,997. Oops, that didn't work out the way I planned it. Hold on a second. I have a very light touch mouse. You're going to get the Speed Profiling Defense Against the Dark Arts, NLP training. This is, again, the #1 NLP course in the world for the last 2 years. You're going to get that free. It's a $1,997 value. You're going to get the Identity by Design Hypnotherapy Home Study Program, valued at $1,497. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the People Reading for Fun and Profit 2-day home study intensive, valued at $1,497. Total value on this, if you were to buy them individually on the website, would be $6,988. But obviously, we don't really want you to pay $6,988. Why? We're getting into the Black Friday time of year, getting towards the end of the year. A lot of people are going to want to be making changes. So here's what we're going to do. You click the link when it becomes available for you right now. That's right. You're not going to have to pay $6,988. Heck, if we charged you half price, would it be a value for that? If it was only $34.97, would it be worth it? right? Certainly worth it at $69.88, but we're not even going to charge you half price. What about $14.97? That's a good price, right? That'd be a deal, wouldn't it? Nope, we're not even going to do that. For those of you who are really serious about taking your life to the next level, about expanding your practice, expanding your life, understanding yourself better, connecting with people more fully, safeguarding yourself against negative and harmful manipulation, and positively influencing people in the way that that moves their needle forward in life, you can get it all for one low installment of just $9.97. And if you need a little help, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of $3.97 each. All you got to do to get yours is click the link that's appearing in your window, www.nlppower.com/face. So if you're ready to face the future with a whole new set of tools, as they say in Forbidden Secrets, when would now be a good time to click that link? Hold on a second, I'm trying to switch between chats and it's not working. Pardon me while I find my links. I'm pretty sure Holly or Mia put the links in there, but I want to make sure you guys have it. All right. So go ahead and click those links. But listen, we got more for you, right? For those of you who are in for the win, you know who you are. If you have a little bit of doubt, a little bit of hesitancy, I get that. You know, especially if you're new to Planet David, you don't know the power of what we're teaching you. So here's the deal. Test drive this content, test drive these courses for a full 60 days. At the end of 60 days, you're not reaping rewards bigger than what I've promised. By all means, give us a call, send us an email. We'll give you a full and complete refund. If you're not on the fast track to understanding people and yourself better than you ever thought possible, if you're not able to read people's personalities instantly with higher and higher degrees of accuracy and even predict what they're going to do next, if you're not on the fast track to becoming more successful and manifesting the life of your dreams and helping your customers and clients and team members manifest the life of their dreams, if you're not feeling more secure and confident and powerful as a byproduct of this training, I'll refund every penny you invested. But I'm going to tell you up front, I've under promoted, I've under talked about what's truly possible with this training, with this content, this material. We've taken all the guesswork out of it. Just all you got to do is do the technique. You don't even have to believe it. This stuff will work. And if it doesn't, give us a call and we'll refund every cent you've invested, and we'll even let you keep whatever content you've downloaded, right? That's more than fair. So click that link before it's too late, www.nlppower.com/face. Get your course and start going through it. And remember something, as you go through this course, we are only a phone call or an email away. If you need any kind of support, any kind of help, you need any question answered, my team and I are here to support you through the entire training and learning process. And one of the things you're going to discover is the more you learn, the less you know. There'll always be another layer. But this is going to get you started fast. It's going to get you started deep. And it's going to get you started with absolutely zero risk. So click that link when you're ready. www.nlp.com/face. All right. So that's the offer, right? And if this wasn't already amazing enough, if you didn't see my spoiler earlier, if you grab your course tonight before 11:59 p.m., you get to keep all these bonuses. If you click the link before I log off the webinar, which is going to be shortly, then I'm going to give you the following extra bonuses. And I actually have an unannounced bonus that's going to piss off my staff, but I don't care. So one of the most important things that you're going to need as a face reader, as a healer, is you're going to need a tribe. You're going to need people like you to practice with, to practice on, to give you feedback, to give you support, to mentor you, help you, and guide you. And that's why I'm so proud of what I'm about to share with you. What I'm about to share with you is something that I started in October of 2010. And I have been doing this, I've been running this nonstop every month, month after month after month since that time. This is the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group and Archive. Basically, what this is on the third Saturday of every month, people come to my office or they log in through their Zoom account or their Facebook account. And I literally go around the room and I say, hey, Seth, what do you want to learn? Holly, what do you want to learn? Mia, what do you learn? Moss, what do you want to learn? Sophie, what do you want to learn? Sonia, what do you want to learn? Whoever else is on my call, right? Hold on a second. Oops. I'm getting all kinds of weird growth. Lottie, what do you want to learn? Right? Todor, what do you want to learn? And I sit down and I write everything that you guys want to learn about on the board. And then what I do is I look at where they all kind of overlap, where they all connect. And I create a lesson plan and a syllabus for you guys on the spot. And for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, I teach you and I drill you on these things until you can do them in your sleep. Okay? You will not get a certificate from the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. What you will get is a skill set, the ability to network, to collaborate, to connect with people who have the same desires, the same interests, who want to get good at the same skills you want to get good at. At the end of that 3-month trial period, if you want to stay in Planet David, we'll show you how to extend your membership. At the end of the 90 days, you got what you needed, your skill sets are ready to go, you're out in the world doing what you got to do. No harm, no foul. You got what you needed. The best part, aside from the people you get to meet, is that we have videotaped every single one of our training sessions for the last 13 years. And we have archived that video on the NLP Power website. Parts of it are on the members only platform on our YouTube channel, and the other part of it is archived on our private Facebook groups. As a member in good standing of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, you get unfettered, unlimited, 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week access to all of that content. Content that's never been seen on YouTube, that's never appeared in a product, that's never been featured in a manual or a book. Everything that you can imagine to do with mind, body, energy, healing, manifestation, influence, and communication, from NLP to hypnotherapy to EFT to accelerated learning to remote influence to remote viewing to manifestation, you name it. Dating, attraction, it's all in there. What kind of clothing works best? That's there too, right? You get to binge watch it to your heart's content for the entire 90 days. And if you continue your membership for as long as you're a member in good standing, you get unlimited access to that. That's my gift to you. Okay. It's a $1,997 value, but we're going to give this to you free for one very simple reason. A, we want you to win. We want you to succeed. And one of the things we have seen, and Seth will tell you, and Heather will tell you, and Moss will tell you, and Mia will tell you, anybody who's been around Planet David or in some of our events, they come for me and the information, they stay for each other. Nothing will take you from a tourist and a tire kicker to a full-blown unstoppable force with this material. Nothing will do it like the people that support you and surround you. And this is why this is important. You need a support system. You need a tribe. You need opportunities to practice. You need opportunities to hone your skills so that you go out into the world ready. And that's why we're doing this. This is why we created the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program in the first place, because so many people from all over the world were coming out of NLP trainings, hypnosis trainings, even dating and attraction trainings with all this book knowledge. And they couldn't do any of it. They couldn't make it work. I created this program to fix that. And we've been doing that successfully, month after month, year after year, for 13 years. One of the reasons I'm so good at the things that I do and the things that I demonstrate is because of the people in that mastermind who keep me on my toes and keep me having to come up with new ways to teach things and find connections that I didn't even know I needed to make. You get the benefit of all of that. And you don't have to spend 13 years to do it. That's the best part. It's going to save you time, energy, effort, and it's fun. It's so much fun. And it's yours for free. Total value on this is $8,985, but there's more. There's more. Just click that link right now. You're also going to get face reading for fun and profit level 2. This picks up where our first face reading course leaves off. So it's going to teach you more about the ears, about the cheekbones, about the chin, about the mouth, how to tell if people are stingy or generous, how people are how people are more likely to be selected as targets of sexual predation or molestation, and what facial traits are more likely to indicate people who are capable of those behaviors. And I will show you some very, very dramatic examples of people who have those traits that are very public figures who actually got convicted of those crimes and were accused of those things. Behaviors, emotions, are correlated with certain types of facial anatomy, and they're more reliable than they aren't. Okay, face reading level 2 picks up where level 1 leaves off, and will just complete your understanding of personality profiling, behavior, and temperament. So $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Total value on this is $10,982 if you click that link right now before I log off. And for those of you who want the live experience, for the next 17 people to click this link right now before I log off the webinar, you're going to get a very, very special VIP ticket to our next upcoming Face Reading for Fun and Profit Level 1 3-day live certification bootcamp. This is going to teach you how to read anyone in seconds, how to gauge their personality and temperament, the emotional health of a person, how to read their health and trauma history, how to look at their lifestyle and constitution as it's written on their face, how to judge and gauge their emotional health and physical health, how to detect lies, how to detect people who are very open versus very closed, who's more likely to lie versus who's less likely to lie. All of these things are going to help you to cement in this behavioral facial training and applications. How to read personality traits instantly, how to find repressed trauma and emotions, how to determine romantic and sexual compatibility, how to make people want to like, trust, and love you, and actually hyper suggestible to you, how to become the most fascinating person in the room as a byproduct of being a face reader. You'll detect lies, deception, mental issues, and so much more. There's a lot that goes into this, and it will really help you functionalize and embody your face reading, the material you're getting from your face reading home study programs. It's a $3,150 value. It's December 13th through the 15th. And yes, before you ask, you can attend this class virtually, but I'd much rather have your ass in the room. So please try to be here if you can, but if you can't, you can attend it virtually. Okay. Total value on this is $14,132 total value package if you're to buy these things individually through our website, which some of these you can't. So let's look at what we got for you guys. You're going to get the Face Reading Secrets Home Study course valued at $1,997. You're going to get the Defense Against the Dark Arts Home Study course, the #1 NLP training program in the world, $1,997, absolutely free. You're going to get the Real World Hypnosis Identity by Design Home Study Program valued at $1,497, absolutely free. You're going to get People Reading for Fun and Profit Home Study course valued at $1,497. We're going to give that to you for free. You're going to get the 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Trial plus the archive valued at $1,997. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the Face Reading for Fun and Profit Level 2 home study course valued at $1,997. And you're going to get that special VIP super ticket to the 5-element Face Reading for Fun and Profit home study course here in San Diego, California. You can also attend it virtually. Now you notice it says 5-element Face Reading because what we're doing something really special with this program. is we're going to teach you the modern approach to face reading, but we're also going to pull back the curtain on the secret energetic trainings that go with the face reading system. We're going to teach you about about Jing, about things like Jing, Qi, and Shen, the 5 elements of Chinese medicine, and how they relate to certain aspects of the body, and how to cultivate, purify, and build more vital force in the body so that you can become healthier, younger, more charismatic, and use that energy to enhance your treatments with your clients, your patients, and your prospects, right? It'll make you more charismatic as well. Okay, so by all means, if any of this is remotely interesting to you, if you'd like to take your energetic training, your profiling to the next level, if you'd like to be more effective and influential with your clients and your patients, please click the link right now, because when I log off the webinar, those fast action bonuses go with me, right? You have until 11:59 p.m. tonight to click the link and get the regular bonus package, the webinar package. But if you want the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring trial, you want the face reading level 2, and you want the VIP super ticket to the 5-element face reading home study course, you need to click that link right now in your chats before I end the webinar, because when I end the webinar, it goes away. Now, if you have questions, and a lot of you will, I understand, we always have a stampede to the phones. Mia and Moss and Holly and even Seth are in the chats to answer your questions. If you need a more direct answer, you can call Mia or call Moss rather at 858-282-4663. You can text or email Mia at nlppower.com. If you've bought packages from us in the past and you have some of the courses already in your account that I've listed, no problem. Just call the helpline or email Moss and Mia. Let them know what courses you have, what course you'd like to substitute for that, and we will happily do that as long as the price point is equal or lesser. We're happy to customize the package for you. If you have no idea what would be a good fit, then call Moss. Moss is probably the best resource for what should we plug into this spot to make this an even better package for you, right? He's taken all the courses ad infinitum. I'd say Seth, but Seth doesn't have access to our phone. So you're going to deal with Moss, who's the guy I chose to really kind of handle that. He's really good at shepherding people through that process. Now, I will tell you, there's always a stampede for the phones. So here's what happens. If you call and Moss is on the other line, you need to leave all of your contact information. And I mean all of it. If you call and you get our voicemail and you don't leave your contact information, you will not, repeat, you will not qualify for the extra fast action bonuses. But if you call and you get our voicemail and you do leave your contact information, should you choose to grab this course for yourself, you will in fact qualify for the Fast Action NLP Power Archive, the Face Reading Level 2, and the 5-element Face Reading VIP Super Ticket. Okay? So by all means, click that link. Remember, everything is guaranteed for a full 60 days. Let us support you. Let us help you build that. And I will show you exactly how much transformation you can bring into the world, starting with yourself. Okay? Click the link right now, www.nlppower.com. The total package value on this is $14,132. You get it all for one low installment of $997, or you can break that up into 3 easy installments of $397 each. Okay, super simple, super easy. Click that link before it's too late. Remember, there's only the next 17 people to click this link get the VIP ticket, right? So if you missed that or it kind of blew by you, remember, it's not just the time limit that's important. There's only 17 seats left, and they're going pretty quick from what the numbers Moss and Mia are sending me are indicating. So by all means, click that link before those seats are gone, right? You can attend it virtually. You can attend it live. Last thing I'll say before I give you guys some time to finalize your packaging and stuff like that. Remember that the VIP ticket does not expire. What that means is that if you click this link right now and for some reason you can't come to the training in December, no problem. Pick up the phone, shoot an email to Moss or Mia. We will move you to the next training. Next time we do this training, you'll get a front row seat, right? If the price goes up between now and that next training, you're protected. Your price is guaranteed. You get to go free no matter what we charge. If you decide that the face reading, you're good with just the home study course, but you know somebody who wants to do the face reading training live or through Zoom, you can gift them your VIP ticket. Okay. And last but not least, if for some reason you can't go to the training and all of a sudden your schedule frees up and all of a sudden you do have the ability to get to the training or attend the training, but it's full, no problem. Pick up the phone, activate your email, send us a notification, let us know you're coming, and we will make a seat for you. Now, obviously, we can make a seat for you if you're doing through Zoom, but if you want to do it live, which I really, really recommend, if you can do it, you do what you can do until you can do something better, right? I recommend you be in the room because nothing is going to shift this for you or move the needle for you like being in the room, right? Because then I can just read your face and just zap you and do all kinds of crazy stuff. All right. So total package value is $14,132. You can get it all for one low investment of $997 today until 11:59 p.m. tonight. If you click the link before I log off, you get everything on the screen in front of you. If you don't, anything that's in blue goes away. Anything that's in black, below the blue, goes away. So the NLP Power, the Face Reading 2, and the VIP Super Ticket, they leave when I do. So grab your package, get in our database, and when we come back from our break, we're going to go into part 3. We're going to finish the emotional map, and then we're going to focus on specific areas that you want to know that you want to use face reading for. So that's what I got. That's what it'll do for you. Here's what to do next. Click those links. Reach out to Moss or Mia. Holly and Seth are in the chats, also able to answer questions. And we'll see you in about 7 minutes. We'll be 6:10 by my reckoning. All right, we got about 1 minute until just take a look at where I am on the camera. Okay, good. All right. While we got about a minute, does anybody have any quick and easy questions for Mawa before we proceed with part 3 of our webinar? It would now be a good time to speak. You guys having fun? Has this been a useful investment for you guys? Sonia emailed Moss. Awesome, Sonia. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're part of us. Glad you're with us. Yay, Heather. Gotta watch out. Heather's dangerous. She's like a major wizard. Or I should say Dr. Wizard. Dr. Heather. All right. How many energy? I'm curious. How many energy healers do we have on the training tonight? Sonia, me, okay. I've been toying with the idea of maybe doing some energy healing trainings beyond just vibrational healing, and actually doing a whole certification track on that. But people are interested, let me email me and let me know. Anyway, all right. So for those of you who stayed with us, you get the goodies, right? You follow the instructions, you get the goodies. So I'm all yours now. Okay. So if I were to do like a advanced medical Reiki certificate training program beyond just what everybody learns in level 1, 2, and 3, and go deep into like what was being practiced in the Qigong hospitals in China as it relates to Reiki and stuff like that. That would be something you guys might be interested in. Yes? No? Maybe so? Just putting it out there because that would be interesting. Yeah, it wouldn't be cheap either, but it would be awesome. All right, so you guys want to pick up with the emotions, or do you guys have something specific? In fact, while I have you here now, type specifically into the chat. What specifically do you guys want to know more about? Again, remember this last part of the webinar is really where I target it to exactly what you guys want to know about. So you want to know about emotions, we'll finish emotions. You want to know about business applications or personality traits rather than emotions, we can talk about that. You want to talk about what do you want to know? Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and finish the emotions. Nan says psychic boundaries. Arturo says applying this to business. Okay. So Nan, when you ask about psychic boundaries, what exactly are we talking about here? So Lee is asking how to listen and not interrupt when people are talking. That's really not a face reading application, but we can talk about that. Traits of behavior and personality. Okay. Stein says. Nan says I'm very sensitive to others. Okay. So I'm gonna go on the out on a limb here and say you're probably one of those people who considers themselves to be super empathic. Yes. Okay. Trust me, you're not the only one. There are many people who come to Planet David because they've got empathy on overdrive, but what they have is not empathy. It's sympathy. Somebody feels something, and then all of a sudden they're feeling it too. That's not empathy. That's sympathy. You feel what they feel. right? Empathy is a parallel or a derivative of sympathetic transmission in that it allows us to understand and harmonize, for lack of a better word, with how somebody's feeling. Right? Those two words, I have this discussion the other day. Those two words are thrown around an awful lot, and you need to understand the distinction. Sympathy is when you feel what another person's feeling. Now, I will tell you this for nothing. If you're going to engage in the world of energetics, you've got to start cleaning your crap a lot, and you've got to learn how to build armor and shields. Because if you're doing the work properly, as you develop your energetics, as you develop your three bodies, you'll become progressively more permeable to the vibrational micropulsations all around you. Now, in my last vibrational influence class, which we just finished on Sunday, my students got a big face full of that, where they were sending stuff back and forth. And then I told them, that's happening to you. This is happening to you all the time. It's just you're not conscious of it, but it's still affecting you. People who have super levels of empathy tend to have a default setting on their mirror neurons that just automatically reproduces whatever it encounters. Okay. Now, there's two really fast ways to diffuse that, and they're neuroscience based. Okay. The first one is to understand that all you have to do to get your nervous system to process input differently is ask better questions. So here's what I mean. When I walk into a room where somebody's having a conniption, a rage attack, a grief spell, a PTSD episode, or they're just on their freaking period, or having low blood sugar, right? Or have a cold, and I walk in, all of a sudden, boof, I feel that. The moment I feel that, the first thing I ask, is this mine or somebody else's? Because if I wasn't feeling it outside the room and I felt it when I went inside the room, that's a legitimate question. Is this mine or somebody else's? The moment you ask that question and your nervous system responds, it's somebody else's, your shield gets instantly more permeable. Okay, it causes you to dissociate and go meta to the experience. The next thing that you want to do is ask yourself a question. What else could this be? Hey, there's Chris Stonebaugh. Awesome. Hey, Chris. What else could this be? The books you want to reference for what I'm about to talk to you about are How Emotions Are Made by Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett and 7.5 Lessons About the Brain by the same author. Okay. The moment you ask your nervous system, what else could this be? It detaches the meaning your nervous system has connected to the sensation. And once the nervous system detaches and decouples the sensation from the emotional label, you can attach any other label to that sensation and your nervous system will process it like that. Okay? Those two questions will neutralize just about anywhere, I would say, between 50 and 80% of a lot of the random empathic crap you encounter, just those two. And it'll put a significant dent in the other 20%. The other thing you can do is say, okay, is this mine or somebody else's? What else could this be? What color is it? If my higher mind could send me a feeling, a frequency, a vibration, a color that would completely dissolve and neutralize that feeling and inoculate me towards it going forward for the rest of my life or the rest of the day or however long I'm here. What color or colors might it send me? Whatever that color, the first color that pops into your head is the color that you use. You imagine a ball of energy, that color floating above your head. Notice how the feelings in your body shift and change, and with every breath you take and every beat of your heart, that ball of energy begins to grow and expand and fill the entire room. Wrap it around you. Breathe it through your entire body, but especially through the area where that less than pleasant color used to be, and watch it and feel it dissolve away. Steinover says, do that color shape, warm, cold, so on. Yes. So if we were going to take a holographic memory approach, we would say, what color is it? Does it have any weight, temperature, texture, size, or shape inside your body, outside your body, or both? How young might you be when you first feel feeling like that? That's going to take your intervention in a completely different direction, right? Those are things, those kinds of psychic boundaries and those kinds of psychic self-defense techniques and psychic cleansings and things of that nature. Those we teach in things like unleashing the magic, sometimes in vibrational healing or vibrational influence. Man says, yes, that worked. I just got my answer. Perfect. All you got to do is those 3 questions and you're golden, right? Are there other things you can do? You're welcome, man. Are there other things you can do? 100%. Are those the things that cook the rice the fastest? Yeah. Everything else takes a little bit more explanation, a little bit more mechanics. You got to set them up. This stuff you can do in a line at Starbucks in 2 minutes. Okay. Oh yeah, we got all kinds of stuff. You have that's a tiny piece, but again, when you go through your identity by design course and you start seeing all the different interventions and the color work and the sound work, and you'll start to understand a little bit about what we really do here in Planet David. It's a pretty special place. I have to pinch myself sometimes when I see the things that my students are doing. And one of the guys you heard me mention his name, Christopher Stombaugh. He's on the call. He's one of those amazing students. Has gone out and just done amazing things with these technologies, right? And you can too, right? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You are literally made of magic. My job is to show you how to unlock it. Okay. Kish My Grit says, hi, Dr. David Snyder, looking sharp. Why, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So hopefully that answered your energy questions. Trapped energy released, and my hearing and vision get better? Yes. And Nan, the interventions just get stronger and stronger as you go deeper. Okay. So are we back to emotions? Or do we have other things we want to do? I saw somebody was talking about behavior and personality traits. Is that where you guys want to go, or you want to go back to emotions? I'm good either way. But I hope you find that energy intervention is helpful. Kitch, I don't know if I'm going to, I will probably get to Phoenix or Prescott as a tourist or maybe attending a seminar. I don't know that I'll ever teach one there in the near future, but you're only 6 hours away, give or take, from San Diego. Come on out and train, right? So Beth says she wants to do emotions. Is getting distracted a face line thing? No, lines on the face are usually more emotions. Distraction is usually a byproduct of certain behaviors and psychological traits, not to be confused with emotion. Okay. So, but while we're on the subject of distraction, so a lot of people who have a lot of fire energy in their constitution will tend to have high levels of dopamine. That means they're very sensation novelty driven. That can come across or give the appearance of attention deficit or being highly distractible, because any new thing in the environment pulls their attention. Anything they've never done before sucks their interest. Okay. So when we look for fire on the face, you look at the points of the eyes. So let's go back to our model. We'll talk about, again, we'll talk more about this in December. But when we look at elements of the fire element, what we're talking about are tips and points. So the tip of the inner canthus, the tip of the outer canthus, tip of the nose, corners of the mouth. Any place you have a tip or a point is where the fire element starts to manifest. If you have a lot of freckles, you have extra fire. So these people tend to have a little bit stronger dopamine pathways. And so they're kind of all over the place many times. They'll be doing 27 different things and just bounce back and forth. They tend to drive woody people crazy because while wood people tend to have a lot of varied interests, they're a bit more focused than fiery people. So if you have somebody who's got very pointy features, pointy ears, they've got a lot of fire. And so they'll tend to be a little bit more energetic, novelty driven. They're usually morning people. I hate those people, right? But that's kind of what you can see. If you've got people who are exhibiting manic symptoms, for example, if you see people with this marking, oops, this could manifest either as easily distracted or extremely hyper focused. It really depends on what other physical or psychological attributes they've got. If they've got really strong brow bones, it means they've got a lot of wood energy, which means they'll be very hyper focused. If they've got a really flat brow bone, more pointy, narrow, or wispy eyebrows, they'll be less driven, so they'll be a little bit more flighty. If the chin isn't super strong, like it isn't really big or very square, and they're not as grounded, this is part of the earth, this is part of the water element, the mouth is part of the earth element, and the jaws are part of the wood element. These are the things that tend to keep people focused. So the bigger these traits are, the more that fire is channeled. But the weaker they are, or the smaller they are, the more ditzy or kind of airheaded, for lack of a better word, that person will tend to manifest. So does that answer your question? All right. Well, that being said, okay, so Sonia's asking me, do I have suggestions for changing heightened sensitivity with light, sound, vibrations, and EMF? I do. There's two directions that you can go. This is really not the focus of today's webinar, Sonia, but I'm happy to help with those questions. You can find some devices or crystals that will help neutralize and buffer EMF. That's probably the simplest solution and the least expensive. The other thing you can do is find devices. There's this thing called the Cosmic Tower that a friend of mine, Nico Martin, sells. Very powerful for cleaning and cleansing the environment. They're not cheap at all, but they're really powerful. And then the other way to do it is through certain energetic practices. Building your three-way chi fields, having a stronger grounding to the earth and building that root, and using that to supplement and amplify your innate energy field can be very, very powerful in fortifying your three energy membranes and making you less malleable in the terms of EMF. and things of that nature. There's lots of different ways you can approach that. It really depends on the amount of what resources you have available. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish at least half the emotions, and then I'm going to jump into some behavioral trait applications, so you guys can start to see what that looks like. So I'm going to I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit. Before I do, though, if you haven't clicked your link, and for those of you who have a strong energetic background, we will actually be doing energetics integratively with the face reading at the live event in December. So if you want some of the practices I was just mentioning to Sonia and some other things for cultivating your Jing, Qi, and Shen, there'll actually be some extra modules that we're teaching in face reading because I decided to integrate those two different paths. That being said, so we talked about joy, we talked about sadness, sorrow, grief. I want to finish my explanation of this disempowerment line that I talked about. So when you see these lines, and by the way, I don't care at this point if you see them in a client, you see them on yourself, or you see them in people you work with. When you see these lines, what it implies is that at some point in their past, somebody tried very, very hard to violate this person's boundaries. And when the violator made the attempt, the person with these markings pushed back. They said, no. They said, I'm not standing for that. I'm not letting you do that. You're not going to, that's not okay. Unfortunately, when they tried to stand up for themselves, the perpetrator, the violator, pushed back even harder. And rather than continue to put up a fight, this person lapsed into appeasement mode. They said, okay, whatever you want, just stop whatever I'll do whatever you want, just don't hurt me or whatever. They lapsed into this appeasement kind of an energy where they're doing everything they can to not get hit, right? So the reason I bring this up is because there's two traits on here on this facial map that are the byproduct of anger or boundary violation. And they go in two very different directions. How many of you remember the old sitcom All in the Family? You guys remember that with Archie Bunker and Edith and Meathead? And okay, so probably the best stereotypical example of somebody with these markings was the character of Edith Bunker, played by Maureen Stapleton. You know, every time Archie was mad, it's okay, Archie, I'll make it better. Don't get angry. Everything's gonna be okay. It's all right. I'll do it. You know, and she was always trying to satisfy him, always trying to appease Archie's temper. Right now, not that Archie was abusive in the classical sense. He was just a chauvinistic white dude, right? Growing up, you know, who grew up in the 40s, 50s, the 30s, 40s, and 50s, right? And he was the stereotypical guy, right? But Edith was always trying to make things better, right? I miss the political incorrectness myself. I'm a big fan of political incorrectness. I applaud it whenever possible because my stance is human beings have started taking themselves way too friggin' seriously. And if politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offend you, there's the fucking exit button, right? But that being said, when you see markings, they're diagonal lines that go down the side of the nose. When you see these markings, you're dealing with somebody who has had their boundaries violated. They tried to protect themselves. It didn't work. And they just said, okay, take whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt me. So you're dealing with someone who's probably got a lot of repression, a lot of fear, a lot of guilt. But on a deeper level, we're dealing on a behavioral level now. We're dealing with something else. And this has ramifications. This person has established a behavior of appeasement. So anytime somebody encroaches on them and they push back, and the other person pushes back harder, they'll cave. Right? Now, I have a working theory. I can't prove it yet, but I have a working theory that certain types of predators intuitively and instinctively understand this market. And so those kinds of people may be targeted again. It is known that many rape victims and victims of sexual molestation, a large percentage of them are targeted more than once by different people. So again, I think there are certain tells that predators instinctively know. And some of those can be, a lot of those are body language cues. A lot of them are lifestyle modifications. We cover this, by the way, really in depth in Defense Against the Dark Arts, which is in your package. We covered like all the victimology, like exactly what they look for, what things put you on the menu or on their radar, what things take you off. There's a whole checklist. It's a really good course. If you haven't gotten it, I really recommend you grab it. Anyway, but if you get a client that comes in and their presenting problem is not that, there's a high probability that if you're doing any kind of hypnotic work, that's going to come up. It may not be their presenting problem. Sometimes it is. But if you're doing any kind of regression work, at least, there's a good chance that stuff will come up. And if you get them empowered and get them the resources they need, not only will these lines go away, they'll actually stop doing the behavior. One usually follows the other. So there's a question. That's about inner game. Okay, any questions about that marking? Hold on, I lost my chat function. Okay. Okay. The next trait I want to talk to is also a result of anger, but it has a very, very different indication, right? I'm going to expand rather significantly. Christina, if you need the, you want, use this link to grab the course. Another one I want to talk about. How many people have ever seen the little lines between a person's eyebrows? Right. So this is what it looks like. So when you see two lines between somebody's eyebrow, you're dealing with some kind of a person who's kind of perpetually or chronically irritated, annoyed, or impatient. I have these lines. I am the poster child for these lines. I have a temper and an annoyance level that will go from 0 to 60 in a nanosecond. Okay. And I'm working very hard on clearing that. But there's another line, it's not on this map, that is very, very common. And this is one that I want you guys to be aware of because of the implications of it, both in terms of short-term behaviors and long-term success. And that is when you see one line right down the center, or just a single line. Now, it can be a really thick line like you see here, or it can be super thin. But it's one single line in this space. When you see that line, what you're dealing with is a trait. I'll just do it over here. You're dealing with a trait we call a suspended needle. Now, in a suspended needle marking, this is also the result of a boundary violation. However, in this case, the person had their boundaries violated, and they pushed back. They got angry. And when they got angry, they crossed a line. And were punished for it. Okay. So let me explain this a little bit. So when you're seeing the one single line, Lottie says that's not, yeah, in Chinese medicine, this is known as Shen Men. Right, spirit gate. One of them. There's many Shen Men, by the way. And anyway, this person got into an argument, had their boundaries violated. They got angry. They pushed back. When they pushed back, they crossed a line, broke a rule, got caught, got punished badly for it. And I'll give you some examples in a moment. They got punished severely for losing their temper and lashing out. And the punishment impacted them so deeply that they made an unconscious decision that getting that angry and losing control or losing control was dangerous. They made a decision to never, ever let that happen again, to get that angry again. And they took an unconscious wall and they built it smack dab in the middle of their wood or liver energy. Okay. If you know anything about Chinese medicine, they'll tell you that the emotion of anger is related to the wood element, which is related to the liver. Okay. If you were coming to me for Chinese medical therapy, I would diagnose your liver and your gallbladder, which is the wood element, by the health in this area. Okay. So what happens is they make this unconscious decision. Sometimes they're conscious of it, but it's usually not. It's usually something that was so, the punishment for losing their temper was so bad. They say, I'm never fucking doing that again. If you have identity by design or you've been through that training, you may hear us talk, or you've heard about magic frame. You may have heard the idea of the concept of safety lessons, right? Safety lessons are addendums and riders that we put onto experiences to keep us from forgetting the lesson and keep us from letting it happen again. In your identity by design course, you'll get a thorough training on safety lessons and how to get rid of them and how they need to be resolved. So that's what happens, right? We put a block on our liver energy, which is the wood element of the body. Now, putting a limiter on how deeply you express and act on your anger may on the surface sound like a good thing. Here's the problem. Your wood element, your wood energy, is your boundary protection energy, yes, It's also your achievement energy. It's the energy that allows you to go forward and be creative, be successful, be a superstar in your life. And so when you see people with this marking, they've literally taken on a scale of 0 to 100 of percent of their maximum energy and literally cut it in half, and they're only operating on that. And they can't go any further. So what will happen a lot of times is these people will have what we call the failure to launch. Like they'll be jacks of all trades, masters of none, or they may actually be masters of many trades and fail to gain any significant lifestyle or career benefits. So I had a person that I worked with once. He was a massive line here, and this guy could do just about anything. He was a professional photographer. He was an expert audiovisual guy. He knew he could hypnotize people like it was nobody's business. He was one of the best handymen I knew. He could fix anything. But he couldn't work for anyone. He would get hired by somebody and all the self-sabotage would start. He would start a new business. He'd get to a point where he was making a living, but not growing. And he would be stuck. And if somebody hired him, he would whine about the people who hired him and self-sabotage. Okay. Now I can give you a bunch of reasons for why I think that's happening on a psycho-emotional level, but energetically, what we're seeing is when somebody has this line, it doesn't matter how much they know. It doesn't matter how skilled they are. The moment they embark on some path, they will reach a certain point in that trajectory and all forward momentum will stop. They'll stay there and not grow any further. Or what often happens is they will find a way to self-sabotage it and blow it up to justify them leaving. These people are the kings of passive-aggressive behavior, by the way. Trust me, you see it. They don't recognize it, but it's there, right? Or they lose interest in that path. So talking about one of my clients, right? Matt, fantastic photographer. Just gave it up, got bored one day, said, I'm not doing it anymore. Right? Hypnotist, blew it up. Just stop doing it. AV guy, massive walk-off, right? My point is that this marking is a sign of someone who's put a limiter on their anger. And by the way, this area is called Father's Blessing in the Chinese systems. And so the space between the eyebrows is often looked at as Father's Blessing or Father's Curse. And what it means is that when a person has very wide set eyebrows, a lot of space in this area, they usually had a father figure, male or female, who taught them how to get along in hierarchies, corporations, social groups, clubs. They know how to go through the rituals and move up and down the corporate ladder very, very well. So these people could move very smoothly up and down because they knew the rights they knew how to play within the culture. There's people who have what we call poor father's blessing or a small father's blessing. And those are people whose eyebrows tend to be much closer together. These people, and they often have that line, but not always. And these people tend to be much more impatient. They always feel that they're much more deserving of promotion than the people who are next in line for it. They're always trying to skip over other people because they don't play well in a corporate or hierarchical structure. They don't know how to go along to get along. If that makes any kind of sense. So if you see a very narrow eyebrow or space, or you see one of these markings, you're going to see somebody who's got a lot of impatience. They tend to be, and there's two different traits I'm talking about: the father's blessing and the suspended needle or suspended sword. What I've discovered in people with the line is that these people, on top of being the kings and queens of passive aggressive behavior, Danny's asking, do monobrows mean anything to you, or is it just, oh no, I could tell you all kinds of things about monobrows and frankenbrows, as I like to call them. Yeah, we have whole training on that. Yeah, believe me, when I'm giving you tiny pieces of a very, very intricate and comprehensive system, and it's right. Lottie says feels false going along to get along. Again, corporate hierarchies are based on the ability to observe the rights of the corporate culture and be well thought of by your superiors. People with a small father's blessing don't have patience for that. They're always trying to leap, right? So think about this now. Do sociopaths and psychopaths have a lot of patience? Are they trying to move as fast as they can? Or are they taking their time? Now, this is, again, your profilers now. Think it through. Think it through. Is it possible, not definite or probable, but is it possible that someone with a smaller father's blessing area might be a little bit more on the sociopathic spectrum? Right? Not saying if your eyebrows are very close together that you're a sociopath. Not saying that. But the traits of someone who's sociopathic, who's a dark triad or Machiavellian, is they usually are very impatient. They're very impulse driven and very sensation seeking. So when you get these people, they are going to look for shortcuts. Okay. The more dangerous ones will probably have a wider father's blessing because they know how to work the system. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if you've got somebody who's got, the question was asked by Danny about frankenbrows, right? If the person has very, very bushy eyebrows and it goes all the way across, this person will tend to have a bit more of a temper. They'll tend to be much more passionate. They'll tend to be very athletic because they have a lot of wood energy. They can get angry, but they can, as a rule, they tend to manage their anger very, very well. There are some people who get angry and they just lose their shit. Other people get angry and they become super productive. That's more or less the Frankenbrow. The problem with the problem that our poor Frankenbrow or monobrow brothers and sisters have is that they look mean and they look tough. So growing up, a lot of times they get picked on because people think they're these tough people. They're like if you want to be well respected, you go in a prison, you beat up the toughest guy. Well, a lot of people see people who are pretty large because they're usually pretty big too, but they have this very prominent brow, and it kind of earmarks them, and they get targeted a lot for people trying to prove they're tough by taking on the who they think is the toughest guy on the campus. So sometimes these people actually are very nice people, and they've had to learn to fight because people get picking on them, right? But people with that kind of a brow bone or that kind of a brow, you're going to find that they love to be the hero. And so anytime you can engineer where they get to save somebody, either literally or metaphorically, They'll often work harder for free and a thank you and gratitude than they will for a paycheck. What else? There was something else I was going to say to that. Well, it'll come back to me. So is this helpful? Is this useful? Okay. So there's a lot more. Again, we'll cover all this stuff in your face reading program, both the home study course as well as the live. So if you haven't reserved your spot, when would now be a good time to do that? Right. Prasad is asking about, I've noticed your eyebrows go down. It feels like people with down brows are calm. Is that true? No, no. When we look at the direction of a person's eyebrows, here's a generalization you can make. If a trait is angled upward, you tend to be more of an optimist. If a trait is angled downward, you tend to be more of a pessimist. So my eyebrows naturally contour my eyes and angle downward. So my tendency is to look at the world through worst case scenarios and come up with contingencies. And I see people suffering very, very clearly. And I'm always looking for ways to fix that. Right. So I call these good Samaritan eyebrows. Because these people people with these downturned eyebrows are very, very sensitive to the negativity of the world. And they tend to feel other people suffering and they want to do something to help. The problem with that is that people with too many of these downturned traits, they tend to be really vulnerable to a good sob story. So if somebody comes at you and just tells you about how their dog died and their pickup truck broke down and their wife left them for his best friend, right? And aside from being the theme to some local country song, the first thing you start doing is looking for ways to help them. Okay. Not that the people with the upturned eyebrows are sociopathic or don't care. It's just they're more optimistic. They tend to see the glass as half full as opposed to half empty, right? And they don't think about all the sadness, generally speaking. Lottie says, you're very good, David. I wish good for you and your family. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, and you look at my eyebrows and some of my other traits, you can start to see kind of why I do some of the things I do. I would have never, prior to learning face reading, I never would have copped to any of it. But these are some things that'll start to, and if you've got people who have these downturned eyebrows and maybe downturned outer canthus or whatever, understand that their natural inclination is to see things a little bit more realistically, which is code word for pessimism, by the way, and deal with them accordingly, right? Understand that tendency and work that aspect into how you're going to influence them to help them move the needle of their life forward. And if you have those traits, then by all means, work on becoming more positive. And if you get enough reps in, those traits can start to change. So Julie's asking, can plastic surgery or injection change personality traits? Yes. Yes. Anytime you remove physical substance from the body, you're changing what Lillian used to call the Jing quotient of that person. And the Jing of the body is where all of your traits, talents, personality characteristics, and potentials are stored. I like to think of it as the solid fuel that powers the rocket. And if you cut a bunch of it out, you're not only going to change the way the energy flows, you're going to change how much of it there is to flow. So yes, the short answer is yes, you can change personality traits and physical abilities through plastic surgery. So you have to be careful what you take out. Okay. That being said, If you haven't clicked that, again, we'll cover all this in your home study course. We'll cover all this in the live training. Virtual or not, please be there. Last time before I go off into the night, click your links right now. You're going to get the whole face reading for face reading for fun and profit home study course, the defense against the dark arts NLP training, and personality profiling training, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. You're going to get the real world hypnosis identity by design home study course valued at $1,497 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. You're also going to get the people reading for fun and profit home study course valued at $1,497. Once again, absolutely free. You're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program and Trial, plus the 13-year video archive, valued at $1,997. We're going to give that to you free. And you're going to get the face reading for fun and profit level 2 and the VIP ticket 5-element face reading for fun and profit home study course, $1,997 and $3,150 value respectively. Total package value for this is $14,132. You can get the entire program for $14,132. It's value. You can get that for $997 now, or you can break that up into 3 easy installments of $397 each. Now, here's the deal. I told you, I teased you at the beginning of the webinar that I was going to throw in one extra bonus that was going to piss off my staff. For the next 7 people that click the link and get their program now, I am going to give each and every one of you a free 30-minute one-on-one consultation with me. If your name's in the database and you've already clicked the link, you've already got one. For the next 7 people who click this link and get in our database and reserve this program, not only will you get Defense Against the Dark Arts, Identity by Design, Face Reading for Fun and Profit, Level 2, People Reading, NLP Mastermind Mentoring, the VIP Super Ticket, you will get 30-minute one-on-one consultation with me. That's about a $1,500 value because I charge about $3,000 an hour for a session. You can ask me anything you want. You can pick my brain, get some training on something, do a consultation for future coaching sessions, whatever you want. It's your 30 minutes, but only if you click that link right now, only for the next 7 people on top of everything we've talked about. Okay, so click that link right now. And I'm going to stay on for just a minute or two, field some questions if you have them. And then we're going to say goodnight, right? I told you I had a surprise. I told you if you stayed till the end, you'd get some goodies, right? All right. When would now be a good time to click those links? Lottie says, that's a wonderful thing, David. Thank you. That's a blessing. My pleasure. It's what I'm here for. I had, it's interesting. Over the past 3 weeks, I've had some revelations about things, which I'm not sure this is the forum to talk about, but you're going to see some big changes coming up, good ones, really good ones for a lot of you in the near future, because something became apparent to me that I was kind of missing before. So Kitch is asking, am I a shaman? Yes. I actually have a degree in shamanism, medical shamanism, technically. And I'm going to have 2 more in the next 12 to 18 months. Beth's getting ready for bed now. That's okay. We're about to log off. Beth, thank you for staying with us. I hope to see you in a training very, very soon. All right. In the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Things we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Good night and God bless, my friends. I will see you on the other side. Click those links and let's have a party. God bless.